Welcome back to Between Bells. This next segment is sponsored by Cheddar, helping you bring more to life through an advice-centric experience. As the pandemic persists, many Americans have found themselves with a savings surplus. In fact, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, the personal savings rate has nearly doubled from where it was in August of last year. Joining us now to discuss is Elizabeth Evanisko, Wealth Manager at Cheddar. Elizabeth, great to have you with us today. We know consumers' financial habits have changed in light of the pandemic. As we understand, some are even saving more than ever before. So what should those with a surplus of savings consider?
Sure. Great question, Nora. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, I think, we hear a lot about the financial hardships of the pandemic, but I do think there are some silver linings too, and it's important to talk about those. And one of those is the fact that a lot of people just have more cash on their books than what they normally would have. They didn't get to take that big trip, or they just, quite frankly, weren't able to really leave the house and spend that money. So I think for those individuals, there's kind of three key points to look at on their personal balance sheet. First is debt. Taking a look at, do I have some debts that I can be paying down? If so, which one should I be starting with? The second is taking a look at investing. So you've got that extra money, and maybe you have financial goals that are more longer term, like your child's education or for your retirement. And maybe you were in a good shape prior to the pandemic, but perhaps this extra money, if we can put it to use, can put you in a better or even great shape. And then last, if you've checked off number one and you checked off number two, is don't be afraid to keep that money in there and maybe put it to use for yourself, or hopefully next year when you get to take that big trip as well.
Yeah, you mentioned looking at your debt. So more specifically on that point, how should consumers consider balancing debt repayments and savings in light of this economic uncertainty, not knowing when they'll be able to repay those debts later on?
Right. So I think first it's taking a look at the types of debt that you have, right? There's healthy debt and unhealthy debt. So the good debt would be the ones that are going to be, they're easy to manage payments, lower interest. And then obviously unhealthy debt would be the opposite of that, right? Where it's just a large number, you're paying high interest on that. And maybe it's a high interest auto loan, right? Or those credit cards. And we need to take a look at that. So first and foremost, I would focus on obviously paying down those higher interest debts as soon as possible. But then there's also the rule of the savings, right? Which is, okay, but if I'm taking money on my savings to pay that down, is that going to potentially put me behind? And what I would say is, the old rule of 3 to 6 months needed in your savings is really a function of your stability of income. So for some individuals, they may need less than that. Some may need more than that. So take a look at your situation, take a look at that stability of your income, what's dependent on that income if it were to stop. But, with that all being said, I would say I don't think anyone's ever regretted being in a situation where maybe they've lost a job or something like that and not having that high interest debt on their back anymore and having paid it off.
So beyond paying off debts, we know many Americans might feel kind of uneasy about using those savings to invest right now. A lot of volatility in the stock market. It's been quite a tumultuous year, to say the least. What would you tell those with a surplus of savings to consider about investing if they're considering that?
Sure. First and foremost, I would just say take a deep breath, breathe, try to have a bird's eye view, right? There's a lot of noise out there, and the noise can be scary, and you really don't know what to do or what not to do. So always take a step back and just realize that a lot of it is noise, and focus on what are you saving the money for. So if it's money that you're going to use in the next 6, 12, 18 months, then you should be worried about volatility in the market. That money really shouldn't be invested. It should be in somewhere where it's more secure and safe. But for your longer term money, when we're talking about things before with your college education maybe, or retirement for yourself for later on, these are things that are years out. And it's not about worrying about, am I getting in at the right time and trying to market time? It's understanding that this is going to be money that's invested through multiple market cycles. And it's okay, to have it obviously, be in a diversified portfolio to help offset some of those ups and downs. What I will say with that, though, is let's say you have a large sum of money right now and you are a little apprehensive about just putting it all in on any given day. An idea with that would be just to look at systematically investing in through dollar cost averaging. So what that would allow you to do is put in a little bit over multiple time periods to take advantage of that volatility, take advantage of those different price points within the market.
So when it comes to money management and building wealth, we know it can be well worth hiring a professional. So what are the benefits of hiring a financial advisor to help you navigate all of these points?
Sure. I think it's just to have a teammate, right? To get you from point A to point B, and working with our clients, we're there obviously for those good times, but probably even more important through the bad times. Our main job is to help you not make poor decisions when things aren't going well in the market or when you have days like what you're seeing today in the news. I always like to tell a quick story about my dad when I get asked that question. And the reason why is because he owned an auto repair shop. And, when it comes to something, for example, like fixing your brakes, right? You could go buy a book, watch a YouTube video, pull your car to the driveway and figure out how to fix your own brakes. But most people aren't going to do that, right? Why? Because brakes are really important. You take it to a professional who has the tools, who does it all day, every day. And our job is no different, right? We have the tools, we have the resources. This is what we do all day, every day. And I think that's really why most people will turn to a professional to ensure that they can reach those goals.